Happy Wednesday morning. Welcome into another edition of Morning JOX here on JOX 94.5. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell here with you for the next hour, getting you set for another great day here in the magic city of Birmingham, Alabama. Well, it was a good run, Damian. You know, we were talking about this a little bit yesterday. It was a good run through the basketball season and through college football season. And now we're here. And now we find ourselves, you know, kind of looking at the calendar and going, all right, so when's college football season back? Okay, yeah, basketball was fun. NCAA tournament was fun. Had a great time.
Yeah.
For the most part. And yeah, and now we await the clock of college football. The good news is you do have spring football still going on. Alabama with their A-Day coming up this weekend. You have the Stallions, of course. Auburn in the middle of spring practice.
Yeah, they're having like the spring fling, or the tournament of power. I don't know what they're doing on the weekend, but it's supposed to be some sort of like fan fest / practice. Who knows? But this is when we start to miss just the actual spring game, where we all had a date we could look forward to, and literally nobody's trying to, nobody's looking at the team and saying, oh, this is the national championship, but you at least get a sneak peek of what to expect when the fall hits. And it's early, but it's just now we're losing that. And this is the part of the year where it's like, man, we at least had a date to kind of like put our mindset to, okay, we'll probably see what Bryce Young looks like a little bit with live action. We get a chance to see what Jalen Milroe looks like under, Kalen DeBoer's, first year at Alabama under the new system. And we lose that now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't like the NCAA trying to put, throw their weight around too, of saying like these teams can't have, essentially OTAs for spring, because at least you're going against somebody else. And, it's just, days like these, it's the reminder, like, yeah, this ain't your mom and pop's old college football and college calendar like it used to be.
No, and I think part of it this year too, at least from my perspective, and I guess how we've seen things go, especially here for the last month or so, is, going along with the spring practice stuff, is you're looking ahead and it's, yeah, okay, you're not getting your typical spring game. You're not getting your typical A-Day atmosphere, whatever you want to call it. But it just feels like there's not a whole lot of stuff that comes out of spring practice. And I know part of that now is, they limit media accessibility to practice. And a lot of the times when you're able to get in and maybe see something, that's been restricted heavily, I would say. And it's just kind of weird because we're sitting here and, Alabama's been in spring practice for a while now. I mean, Auburn's been at it for a couple of weeks as well now. And, just a little bit of leaks of information here and there you get out of it. They're playing things pretty close to the vest. And I'm not saying that that's the wrong thing to do. I totally understand, especially in today's day and age. That kind of goes back to the whole spring game thing and why a lot of people don't want to have those, because you don't want to show all your cards and essentially have a massive tryout for your entire roster before the transfer portal reopens. But it is just kind of weird how it feels like with what's going on in Tuscaloosa and in Auburn in terms of the quarterback situations, there's so many new people in place for the upcoming season, whether, you're looking at guys on the coaching staff and bringing in people like Ryan Grubb for Alabama, or at Auburn, obviously having to completely restock their quarterback room. We know what's going on with the quarterback situation in Tuscaloosa as well. And so that's where I wanted to start today, with just kind of, we're here in spring football. It's not the same feel that it normally has been in the past, but there are some things that we've been able to take from it. And so I want to go into some of those things and essentially try to extract as much from the spring practice as we can for both Alabama and Auburn. And part of what made me think about this last night was I saw this tweet that you got from Mike Gittens, who you've heard here on JOX 94.5 a number of times. He does great stuff for the War Report there. But he shared that sources from Auburn football have told him that Deuce Knight throughout spring practice this year has not turned the ball over a single time. And that's normally one of those things that, I just feel like people would be going buck wild over of, oh my God, this is everything that we were promised with this kid, every expectation we had for this kid coming out of high school and coming to Auburn is coming to fruition already. Did we need to go get Jackson Arnold? You know, you would just have these all of these different narratives, and I feel like these kinds of things are just slipping through the cracks. And again, I think a lot of that had to do with basketball, and people were so focused on the NCAA tournament that maybe some of these things just didn't get the attention that they normally would. But I thought going back and what we've heard about Keelan Russell at Alabama and early on, and how, you know, Ryan Grubb was talking about how he seemed to be really ahead of the curve in terms of where people his age are from a maturity standpoint, from a mental standpoint, and things like that. And we talked about, okay, you know, it looks like he's maybe living up to the billing. Now, is Deuce Knight going to do the same thing for Auburn? And now you hear this about Deuce Knight and how he's being smart with the football. And based on the last couple of years, you know how important that's going to be to Hugh Freeze when it comes to naming a starting quarterback. And I'm not sharing this to say, oh, well, you know, maybe Jackson Arnold is not going to be the starting quarterback. I'm pretty confident that he's going to be the starting quarterback. But just in terms of the things that we have heard, because going into the spring for both of these teams, the quarterback position was obviously going to be of the highest interest to the fan base. And now hearing a little bit about Keelan Russell and hearing a little bit about the last scrimmage for Alabama and how, yes, again, it's been the Ty Simpson show. Austin Mack has been running with the 2s and Russell's running with the 3s. But hearing, okay, yeah, maybe there's some problems with the cadence. Maybe there's some problems with some of the communication between him and the offensive line, things that you would expect from a younger guy that's coming into a system and figuring that out. But then you hear about the maturity and you hear about where he is mentally and how much tape he wants and how many questions he asks. And your mind just kind of starts to go a little wild on what the, you know, potential for a guy like that is. And then the same thing now you're getting with Deuce Knight and, you know, hearing even Hugh Freeze early on with, you know, Ashton Daniel not being available. And it's essentially Jackson Arnold and Deuce Knight, at least at the beginning of spring practice, getting all the reps. And now you're hearing, you know, these rave reviews now that we're a few weeks into it. And, you know, again, it's still spring practice, but, you know, I think at this point it's a little different than, oh, these guys have just been going up against air every day. Like, you know, they've had scrimmages now. They've gone up against, you know, one-on-one. They've gone up, you know, human on human, and they've gotten those experiences now. And to still continue to hear good things about both of these young quarterbacks, it's a wonderful thing. And I'm very excited about what the future of that position holds for both Alabama and Auburn. It's just, you know, it feels like it's not getting, you know, maybe as much attention, but maybe that's because, you know, also they feel, you know, teams feel pretty set with where they are with a guy like Jackson Arnold. And I think we know the Alabama fans still aren't sold on Ty Simpson, but
yeah, it's a battle that, you know, is going to last into the fall. But to the Deuce Knight thing, it's kind of good to, one, it's good to know that your quarterback is taking care of the football, especially with him being a freshman. But also you got to take into account he's probably not going against the, you know, set starters, you know, the number one team defense every single snap. But again, knowing that you're taking care of the football, and I agree with you 100% that Jackson Arnold is there to be the starting quarterback, but to know that Deuce is ready if his number is called. And again, it's early on in the spring. They're probably doing the basic of basic installs, just trying to make sure the quarterback just understands, like, this is how we get things done. This is how the offense needs to operate. But it's good that he's taking care of the football. And also that's another testament to the receiving core that you have as well, is that they're catching the ball on the other side. Even if it's an incompletion, at least you're not putting it in harm's way by turning the ball over to the defense. So I think especially being a young guy, the reps that you get early on and then going into the fall camp, you feel confident. It's like, okay, well, yeah, I know exactly what this, you know, the surface level stuff is. But also, again, it's the confidence of, okay, I can put this ball in this spot. I feel confident I can rip this ball across the middle of this defense, and just having that confidence and playing well. And I think that for the Alabama side of things, I don't know if you got a chance to see the clip of Kane Womack on the doing some defensive drills. And yeah, he got a little anime. That's the juices of, like, okay, he knows what his defense was last year. He's making sure that there are things that they're going to nip in the bud right now in spring that moving forward they'll never have to address. And it's just, you know, it's the colorful language for me. Like, it's that, okay, yeah, he's in his midseason grind, because there's an expectation, especially now in year 2 under Kalen DeBoer, from everybody. You know, again, with Ryan Grubb coming as offensive coordinator, guy that he knows that he knows Kalen DeBoer. Kane Womack's coach with DeBoer as well. And it feels as though, like, okay, with all the pieces that you have coming back on the defensive side of the ball, some of the more explosive players you have on the offensive side of the ball, you look at this team with a sign of optimism, and the one position on the field that you never really had to question for a couple years at Alabama was quarterback. And now this season, even with an experienced guy who's at least been there for a while in Ty Simpson, Austin Mack, a guy that's been with Kalen DeBoer the whole time, and now with Keelan Russell as a freshman, you have question marks, and it's kind of, again, it's early on, but you have question marks of, okay, what is the absolute ceiling that this Alabama team can be, whether it is Austin Mack at quarterback, whether it is, Ty Simpson or even Keelan Russell coming in as a freshman. It's now we start to see where the expectations could really be coming out of the spring, but the biggest question mark, of course, comes during fall camp going into week 1 of the season.
Yeah, and I think, again, just looking ahead and a lot of what we're talking about is, this is about the future of the position and the most important position for both of these programs. And with both of these kids coming in who have all the talent in the world, and you're hearing, one guy's not turning the ball over. We've heard that Keelan Russell, in the last scrimmage for Alabama had multiple touchdown passes. And again, these are all wonderful things. These are all the things that you want to hear. But then you also have to understand, just the fundamental things that go into it, right? And I think you can look at a lot of guys that you have all the talent in the world, but you have to understand how to play your role and how to play your part, and you don't necessarily go out there. It's a lot different. And I know, everybody knows this. It's a lot different than high school where your talent just won the day and you rolled the ball out there on the field and you said, I'm better than every single one of you, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And that's just not the reality anymore. And so when you have, such a supreme level of talent, you just have to find a way to get the most out of it and get it in a way where you're not going to put them in there too early and mess up something for their development from a confidence standpoint or things like that. But again, it is just good to know that we're hearing good things about both quarterback situations and both of the young guys getting rave reviews early on. But again, it's still, hearing good things about Jackson Arnold and the way that he spends it, and the fact that maybe this was just, it was a situation where Oklahoma it wasn't going to be a good fit for him, and that offense wasn't going to be a good fit, and the circumstances surrounding last season were, to be fair, going to be difficult for just about anybody to overcome. And so now, that you're getting a fresh start with an offensive-minded head coach, you have one of the best receiver rooms, at least on paper, in the country right now. And, you have to feel really positive about that. And then similarly for Alabama, I understand a lot of the frustrations that people have. And, oh, well, if a guy's been in the program for X number of years and he still hasn't earned the right to start, why should we believe that this is the year that he's going to earn that and that, he's actually good enough? And, if that's the way that you want to feel and the perspective you want to have, I think that's fair. But I can certainly say that everything that we have heard out of Alabama spring practice is, Ty Simpson's going to be the guy. Be ready for it. It is what it is. That doesn't mean that things couldn't change during fall and between now and opening day. But right now, it's firmly Ty Simpson's job. And based on the things that you have been hearing, there's no reason that you shouldn't be excited about that, because it's not a situation of, oh, well, maybe all three of these guys aren't living up to expectations, so we're just going to go with the experienced guy. It's, no, all three of these guys are competing and playing at a high level at times, but you have a situation where Ty Simpson is more consistently competing at a high level, and he is not making some of the same mistakes that the younger guys are making. And that's what you want to hear, and that's what you expect. And, that doesn't mean that ultimately they don't decide that somebody's upside is better. It doesn't mean that you can't get 5, 6, 7 games into a season and make a change for one reason or another. But I think right now, specifically talking about Alabama, if you don't like Ty Simpson, you need to be ready to watch Ty Simpson be your quarterback this fall. And I, for one, I'm excited about that. And I think, bringing in some guys like Isaiah Horton, I think was a little bit of an underrated acquisition, at least based, again, it's spring ball. But I mean, when you hear about a guy that's through 2 scrimmages got 5 or 6 touchdown receptions, I mean, that's good numbers. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Again, these are not things saying that, he's going to go win the Blitnikoff this fall necessarily, but you could be hearing worse things, or you could be hearing nothing at all of, oh yeah, he's here.
Right.
He's making an impact.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
And that's the thing too. if you're not hearing, as long as you're not hearing any negative things coming out of camp, you seem to think that you're trending in the right direction. Because if it was any kind of major issues like, the offensive line is really starting to struggle, or, they didn't look great in the scrimmage, of course the worry would start to creep in. But I think, sometimes silence is the best thing. It's okay, we're hearing, positive things from the young guys coming up. Simple as that. But as long as you're not hearing anything negative coming out of the spring, consider it pretty good. Because look at Clemson with Cade Klubnik. Everybody goes back to the scrimmages like, hey, man, he's throwing interceptions. It's okay, well, maybe he's starting to regress a little bit. And they get that little bit of worry, that little sliver of worry starts to come in. And then you have to, again, remind yourself, it's spring. It is spring. If we're having this conversation, the second week in the fall camp, then there might be some question marks. But it's early on in the spring. You can get some things corrected. You got plenty of time.
Well, and on the other side, you look at, something like Arch Manning last year and how he absolutely lit it up in the spring game. And I mean, that was great. And we saw him last year, but there's a reason that Quinn Ewers was still the starting quarterback, right? Because it's spring and that stuff's good. Again, it's always good to hear positive things and to have success, whether it's in spring camp, fall camp, regular season, whatever. But these, I definitely think the coaching staffs know what they're doing in these quarterback situations. I know there's some jokes that could probably be made there, but yeah, I think moving forward, we're in a good spot, and I'm very excited to see how that progresses this weekend as you get your fall or your spring practices. Sorry, not your spring games, your spring practices. But according to Jeff Allen for Alabama, he said he thinks the fans are going to like the practice more than the spring game because you don't get to see practice. You get to see a game. You get to see 12 of them at least in the fall, and so it's a new experience. That's the way he's explaining
practice. You think the fans are ready to see practice, not a game. Not a game.
Well, we see enough games apparently, so practice will be better.
No.
But it'll be fun down there, whether you're in Tuscaloosa or down there on the plains of Auburn. It is going to be really just a massive weekend here across the state of Alabama because on Friday you are going to have the Birmingham Stallions in their home opener here at Protective Stadium. We've got Masters going on all weekend. You have A-Day. You have the Auburn spring practice going on this weekend. You have the Birmingham Legion on Sunday. You got so many things that you can do right here. You got the Birmingham Bulls. They have a playoff game this Saturday as well. Don't want to leave them out. So, yeah, a lot of things to get to here across the state of Alabama and here in the Magic City this weekend. You're not going to be wondering what to do here in the sports world. But when we come back here on Morning JOX and JOX 94.5, I want to dive a little bit into the world of Major League Baseball because I think there were a lot of very, very happy listeners last night. And was this the start of a turnaround that the Atlanta Braves dearly needed? We will dive into that next when we come back here on JOX 94.5. Welcome back in. 622 here on Morning JOX. Conrad, Damian, and Eddie Vedder.
So
good.
You know who this is?
Yeah, I'm glad that you.
Yeah.
Good for you. This is growth right here. That's what we're getting right here. Well, appreciate you joining us here on this Wednesday morning. Talking a little bit of spring football here. Do want to get to some Major League Baseball in a minute. And I wanted to come back. I wanted to go straight into the Braves. We'll get to that in a minute, but we have to address something first. And I personally do not like waking up in a bad mood. I do not like waking up.
Doesn't seem ideal.
And having to
choose violence,
be ugly, or go at people. No, I don't enjoy that, especially now maybe in the afternoon, but at 6
o'clock in the morning, you try not to.
Trying to do that.
Yeah.
But some people bring it on themselves. And some people decide to wake up and start the day off with just some of the most absurd comments that you will hear. And so we're going to read them. We're going to read them because y'all like to text into the show and we like to read them. So John Mack, obviously not still excited about the hire of Bucky McMillan there for Texas A&M. He's already moved on from that. So he had a few things to say this morning that I just simply don't agree with. So we'll start off. He says, I feel bad for y'all if you're putting any faith in a single word that comes out of Hugh Freeze's mouth. That guy's a professional liar.
Let me stop you right there. The last time I saw Texas A&M and Auburn play a football game, a team that didn't make it to a bowl game, an Auburn team that was under 500 in Jordan-Hare, I saw it with my own two eyes. Auburn won the football game. I did see that.
Has Hugh Freeze ever lied to you directly, John Mack? I think he answered for those things in the past.
Exactly.
All right. He then goes on and says, this is my favorite time to listen to y'all. The BS your station stacks up trying to cover up the fact that Alabama won't win the SEC, which they haven't done in 2 years. Texas A&M's never done it. They won't make the college football playoff. Oh, Texas A&M has never done that either. As I said, I hope you enjoy the 5-star team that you had. That's over, and so is the dynasty. Time to wake up. Well, okay.
I mean, nobody was crowning them champions.
Well, I mean, we're enjoying some of the 5-stars that were on Texas A&M's roster a couple years ago. They're now there. Some of them went to Ole Miss. Some of them went
That's a bar.
I mean,
it's a fact.
That's fine.
It's facts.
Okay, so he's calling us out for saying something good about Alabama, and he's saying that they will never accomplish things that have been accomplished dozens of times here in recent memory, but Texas A&M has never been to a college football playoff, never won an SEC championship, never even played for one. You could have last year, but you choked so hard at the end of the year, John Mack. And then he says, you have Auburn and Alabama baseball sucking. This is the one right here. Texas A&M, I will give you credit. You just went and won 2 of 3 against Tennessee. That's impressive. Tennessee's the best baseball team in the country. I respect you for doing that. Texas A&M is 17-15 in baseball right now. They are not ranked anywhere in the top 25. Meanwhile, both Alabama and Auburn are top 15 teams in the country. Auburn is number 11 and Alabama is number 12.
That's what I'm talking about, Conrad.
So if we're gonna, I'm sorry. If you have hate in your heart, please make a good argument. Like, let me have to sit here and acknowledge that you are right, even if I hate it. Don't say stupid crap. Like, oh, y'all suck in baseball. That's why y'all are talking about spring football. No, you suck in baseball, John Mack. How does it feel to be little brother, have Texas come and steal your head coach, and now you have to wake up in your miserable life and turn into this radio show every day and feel like little brother to the teams here in the state? Like, is that what does that bring you joy? Are you smiling right now listening to this? Because I hope you just turned your radio off and you walked outside and touched some grass, because don't come in here with that slander. And I am not just standing up for Alabama here. I will stand up for Alabama and Auburn. Those are the teams here in our state. And the Texas A&M garbage. I am sorry. Why are you so entitled? What have you ever accomplished? Anything? I can't do it. I'm sorry. It's early in the morning. And you want to come in here and talk crap. Yes, thank you. Somebody said, wasn't Texas A&M preseason #1 in baseball? Yes, they are. Now, can't find them on the polls. Can't find them there. You go look, you won't see them. Will not see them. All right, I'm sorry. I'm done.
Conrad, I didn't know you had it in you, man. I thought, you usually keep that under wraps. You leave that for late night jocks. That's what you usually turn that into.
Just don't be stupid.
I didn't know you had it in you, brother.
Don't be stupid. If you want to have a real conversation and you have concerns or you have, you want to throw, take some jabs, that's fine. But, to come up in here and puff out your chest and act like, we've never accomplished anything. The glory days are over for, comparing it to a program that your glory day was 90 years ago. And you're going to puff out your chest about college baseball when you're barely above 500 and you obviously don't know what you're talking about because the two teams here in this state, Alabama and Auburn, are both in the top 12 and okay, we're done. We're done with that. We're moving on. Atlanta Braves last night, they took on the Philadelphia Phillies after a day off. Atlanta 1-8 coming into the game, Philadelphia 7-2. A massive opportunity for Atlanta to get back into the swing of things there, and not only the National League East, but just trying to find their footing here early in the 2025 season. And boy, what a game you had last night if you are an Atlanta Braves fan. Didn't start out the way you would have liked. Chris Sale, not a great outing for him. He goes 4 2/3, gives up 5 earned runs and 9 hits over those 4 2/3. His ERA now on the season up to 6.75 after winning the Cy Young last year. So that's certainly something to keep an eye on. But the good news is Zach Wheeler, not much better. He goes 5 1/3, gives up 5 earned runs as well there for the Philadelphia Phillies. And you found yourself going into the 6th inning. You were down 5-3. You pick up a couple of runs there in the 6th inning to tie it up at 5. Also, shout out to Sean Murphy. He got things started in his return there for the Braves with a 3-run home run in the 2nd inning. And this is the way that it would have sounded last night if you were watching the Atlanta Braves on TBS. And that's the way that it sounded last night there on the broadcast. So, yeah, Sean Murphy, 3-run home run in the 2nd. He adds in an RBI single there in the 6th inning. Michael Harris with a sac fly. So now we're tied at 5. Then in the bottom of the 7th, Atlanta up. Austin Riley with a double. Make it 6-5. And then Orlando Arcia scores on a wild pitch there in the bottom of the 8th to make it 7-5. And Atlanta gets out of there with a stellar performance from the bullpen. They shut down the Philadelphia Phillies there in the final 4 1/3 innings of that game last night. And so Atlanta finds themselves now at 2-8. The good news is, hey, you're 2-1 at home.
Let's
you have
go.
a winning record at home. So, yeah, that's just unfortunate that you're
the fight for Choptober is on, brother.
That's right. Well,
let's go. It's not about how you start. It's a marathon, man.
And we talked about it yesterday. But the Braves are still, if you look at, win projections for the rest of the season, they're still projected 87-ish wins, 88 wins. They still have the 5th or 6th best odds to win the World Series. I mean, it's early, and I get it. It's hard. It sucks to start off this way, but yeah, I mean, look, you sweep the Phillies, and I understand that would be a massive accomplishment.
It is.
But that's going to turn things around real quick. And I think, again, getting that confidence last night, you have Chris Sale going. He doesn't give you his A game, and you still find a way to win. The bullpen comes up huge for you. So congratulations, Braves fans. That was a big one last night, and hopefully you're able to carry it on to today.
Chop on.
Chop on, baby. That's just the way that we do it. All right. Well, sorry, I didn't mean to get off on my tangent there. We got held up there for a minute going back and forth with John Mack. But when we return here on Morning Jocks, I do want to dive into a little bit of some bizarre news in the basketball world from yesterday that I just can't quite wrap my head around. Maybe y'all can. So we'll tell you what that was and give our reaction to it when we come back here on Morning Jocks and Jocks 94.5. 6:36. Welcome back in. Morning JOX, JOX 94.5. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell, and you. Talking a little spring football, talking some Braves baseball, keeping you up to date. Well,
we were.
Yeah, we were.
God. I didn't know.
I'm better.
I knew you weren't a big Texas A&M guy, and again, I'm not either because they're already eliminated from my fandom recruitment this year until decision in 2025. Mm-hmm. But you feel like you really got some stuff off your chest. I feel like that was very therapeutic last segment.
Yeah, and it really wasn't even a Texas A&M thing. It was just a one guy thing. If we're being more specific,
like they already took Bucky from us, but man, like, how about you have some joy in that?
That's what I'm saying. Be happy about that. Like, you just made an excellent hire, and I know you got to wait a while for basketball, but it's never too early to start looking ahead. Go find out some names from the portal that you want. So yeah, you should be happy there in Aggie Land, but we will get to some of your text here. A lot of those rolling in 205-834-9450, but I did quickly, and I really just wanted to get Damian's thoughts on this as well, from yesterday. So I know we don't talk NBA here a lot, so I promise we'll go through this quick, but you had some just absolutely bizarre circumstances yesterday in the NBA. So around lunchtime, a little after, it's announced that the Denver Nuggets have fired not only their general manager, Calvin Booth, but their head coach, Mike Malone. And so you might look at that and go, oh, okay, well, I think I remember the Nuggets. Yeah, they won the NBA Finals a couple years ago. Yeah, Jokic, he's pretty good. Okay, maybe they had a down year. They're missing the playoffs, and so they're looking to just go ahead and, get ahead of things before the end of the regular season. Well, that's not quite accurate because the Denver Nuggets, if you go and look at the NBA standings, they are in the 4 spot, or excuse me, now they're in the 5 spot. They fell last night. They are in the 5 spot there in the Western Conference. So they have a playoff spot locked up. They're going to the playoffs. Now, whether it's the play-in or not, that's the question, but they're going to the postseason. There are 3 games left in their regular season. 3. And they fired their head coach and general manager, who just won a championship 2 years ago. I just, for me, Damian, I've never seen something like this happen. I guess the closest was the Grizzlies fired their coach a couple of weeks ago, and they are also in a postseason spot. So that's bizarre as well. But now the further that we get along, 3 games left in the regular season, and you fire your head coach before a postseason run, and the owner essentially comes out and says, well, hopefully this will light a fire under the guys.
I'll definitely light a fire for, I guess you'd say for Joker. Like, if you're Joker, it's okay.
Get me out of here.
Yeah, like it's pretty much saying this season's kind of done. Don't really care what the end result is. It's a forced rebuild almost. It's okay. So are you going to go for a veteran coach with probably no NBA Finals experience, but you're going to fire the guy that literally took you there? He's been there since 2015.
He's the winningest coach in franchise history.
Yes, built this thing up. Yep. And 4 games left in the regular season, you decide to pull the plug. And it's, okay, at what point does this make sense? And like you said with Memphis and Taylor Jenkins last week, it was, okay, so no matter what the result is for this Memphis Grizzlies team or for this Denver Nuggets team, it's, okay, we're on to next year. Like, we're cleaning house. Again, you fired your GM and your head coach. So everything from the top down is about to change. So what exactly direction are you going to go from this point forward? Because if you're Joker, it's, okay, so we win the title with this guy, and now he's not enough. And you're sitting in the top 4 spot in the Western Conference standings, and it's like, okay, why now?
Well, and it's just like, imagine, and maybe this isn't apples to apples, but, a college football scenario, right? Let's imagine, okay, Alabama's, 10-1 going into the Iron Bowl. They go into the Iron Bowl and they get blown out. Auburn obliterates them 55-0, just destroys Alabama. But Alabama still gets in the playoff, right? Because you're 10-2, you're probably still going to be in the playoff, right? And Alabama fires Kalen DeBoer because he gets beat by Auburn the last game of the regular season. But you're still going to the playoff. You're still going to the college football playoff, but you're going to get rid of your coach because you don't like the way that the team's trending going into the postseason. And that's why they got rid of him, mainly because the Nuggets went they're on a 4-game losing streak right now, but still you're securely in playoff position. You have arguably the best player in the NBA still in Jokic. I don't understand why you wouldn't keep it together for at least a few more weeks and try to get a postseason run out of this thing. But just a bizarre situation there in the NBA, something you don't really see at all in sports, and just a very, very interesting situation. So we'll see how that plays out here over the course of the next couple of weeks as the postseason begins. But the Nuggets do take on the Kings tonight, so I'm sure that'll be a very interesting locker room for sure. So do want to get to some of your text here in a minute, but we do have Don. He's been waiting on hold patiently this morning. Don, how you doing this morning? What you want to talk about?
Hey, good morning, guys. Conrad, I'm proud of you, buddy. Hey, don't take that John Mack crap. And by the way, Damon, you say it to him all the time. John Mack, you lost to a 5-7 terrible Auburn team last year. So my goodness, man, A&M ain't good in anything. They were number one in baseball at the beginning of the year. Now look at them, and I'm proud of my Auburn Tiger baseball team. We won again last night, beating Georgia Tech. And Conrad, congratulations, Alabama's gymnastics team. They made the Final Eight.
Yep, you were right, Don. Thank you very much. Yeah, good. We're everything schools here in the state. Isn't that what we're going with now? Isn't that what we talked about yesterday?
That's right, buddy. You got to remember my championship golf team last year. So where's the A&M national championship at? Tell me that, Conrad.
That's a good question, Don. That's a good question.
Well, guys, we had a great time yesterday. Damien, we missed you not coming up there yesterday, but Damien, I know you'll be there Friday night with the Stallions, right, buddy?
With his shirt off.
There you go. There you go. By the way, I forgot to tell you all this yesterday, Conrad. They're going to have cheaper concession stands. I think in certain sections they're going to have $5 beers. Even though I don't drink, that still is good news for everybody else.
Oh, that is that's very good news. That'll certainly get some people out to Protective. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, and hopefully we'll see everybody up at Ramblers tomorrow night at 5:30 to see Coach Holtz in the game.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Don. We appreciate you calling in here each and every morning. And we did have a scheduling conflict. I know on Monday we were supposed to have Skip Holtz on three-man front. He is going to be on today around 11:30. So we look forward to catching up with Coach Holtz and getting his thoughts on the big win over the Panthers this weekend and getting his thoughts on the home opener coming up this Friday night there at Protective Stadium. So 205-834-9450, whatever you want to chime in about spring practice for Alabama and Auburn, SEC baseball, the Denver Nuggets firing their coach right ahead of a postseason run, whatever it is, you can get in there to the courtesy GMC text line. When we come back here on Morning JOX, we will get to your text and hear from you, the wonderful listeners right here of JOX 94.5.
6:48 here on Morning JOX, JOX 94.5. Damian Mitchell, Conrad Van Order in rare form today. Could be because of he must have had a good time last night. He probably took a little bit of Blue Chew. By now, you know Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, Levitra in chewable form at a fraction of the cost. So what are you waiting for? You need to give Blue Chew a try. Blue Chew's tablets are performance enhancement for the bedroom. It can help men gain extra confidence when it's time to perform. You're getting ready for work, you have a little coffee, dinner with your in-laws, you might have something a little stiffer. But when it gets hot and heavy in the bedroom, the one thing you need is Blue Chew. And let me tell you about a free offer from Blue Chew. Go to BlueChew.com and get your first month free when you use our promo code JOX at checkout. All you got to do is pay $5 for shipping. That's BlueChew.com. Promo code JOX to receive your first month free. And remember, Damian Mitchell told you, just chew it and do it.
Props to you for getting through that with a straight face every day.
Absolutely, man. Professional.
That's right.
I'm professional.
All right, putting a bow on things here on the Wednesday edition of Morning JOX. Going to get to your text messages here, but quickly, and Don did hit on it a little bit, but a pair of ranked wins last night for both Auburn and Alabama baseball. So Auburn, they do battle with Georgia Tech. They take down the Yellow Jackets 9-8 last night. Alabama, a 10-6 win over Southern Miss. So a pair of good non-conference ranked wins there for both Alabama and Auburn baseball in the midweek. All right, 205-834-9450. Back to the text line we go, where y'all have been chiming in all throughout the morning here. Appreciate all of the interaction, all the feedback here. Let's see. So we start off. Somebody just says, "Yeah, Conrad, get all the hate out." Yeah, I did.
Oh yeah, you did.
I did.
You did.
Let's see. Someone else. Yep. Call them out. Bust them heads. Yep. Got to do what you got to do. Let's see. Someone chimes in and says, let's see. Wasn't A&M the preseason #1 team in baseball, then choked? Yeah, that is exactly what's going on right now. Let's see. Somebody says, I've seen a report saying that Deuce Knight is redshirting himself this year for Auburn football. I'm not sure if that's true, but I believe that would be the best idea for him to sit for a year. I haven't heard anything about that. I mean, I certainly think that Auburn would like to, maintain his eligibility if possible, unless, it is, he's going to be the bona fide starter for one reason or another. But I haven't heard anything about him redshirting. But yeah, I'm sure if Jackson Arnold's the guy, they're going to want to keep him off the field as much as possible. Someone else chiming in, he says, I love people like Bama Hater and John Mack. Their programs are so pitiful. They have nothing better to do than talk about Alabama, Auburn, or somebody else. Let's see, live and let live, or at least get a team you can cheer for. Yeah, I agree with that. Alex just says, all I got to say is woo pig.
There we go.
Yeah, just happy to be at the table.
There we go.
I'm glad.
Just happy to be here.
Let's see. Yeah, appreciate everyone. Let's see. Red ass Conrad. Yeah, I'm sorry. Cole's not on for another 5 minutes. I should have waited on that. Oh. Well, that was. Somebody said something finally dropped for me, but that was about 15 years ago. So I appreciate the support there, Jamie. But that, believe it or not, that was quite some time ago, actually. Cassie, yeah, they texted and they said, "What did I just miss?" Well, just had to go at it for a little bit with our buddy about John Mack. All right, somebody texts in. They say, "Why do you even read his text messages? He's just a loudmouth with no backing of any football team. So quit giving him any credit on your show. It's your fault for giving him credit." Okay, and I understand. I think that's how a lot of people feel, and they ask these questions of, why do y'all even read these texts? Because we are a show that if you want to voice your opinion on something, we welcome everybody. Even if we don't like it, we are going to read it because that is fair, and that is how things work here in the United States of America, right? You have freedom of speech. You listen to our show. We appreciate you listening to the show, so we're going to read your text. Exactly. Now, if we have a problem with your text, or they're just dumb, whatever you want to call them, then yeah, we're going to call it out for that. But it's about fairness here. And if you listen into the show and you text in your thoughts on the show, we want your voice to be heard, and we want you to know that we genuinely care about what you have to say. But in certain cases, yeah, you're gonna. It's maybe not going to work out for you. But that's why we read his text. That's why we read Bam Hater's text, because they listen to the show and we want their voice to be heard as well. And so that everyone else can also, agree that maybe they're wrong. All right, we have another text coming in. It says Texas A&M just butthurt because they have not been relevant since Paul Bear Bryant was there, and I'm not even an Alabama fan. Ooh, you said
Oh
it.
boy.
You said it, not me. You said it, not me.
I'm here for it.
Drake says, "Good morning, guys. I'm still just happy about the championship win. Go Gators." Yeah, you're just right.
Exactly.
I was about to say, you got nothing wrong with you, Drake. You're chilling right now. You're riding high for a while off of the NCAA tournament win there. Let's see. Someone else chimes in. They say John Mack is single-handedly making Texas A&M the most unlikable group of people on earth. What has his raggedy ass program ever done in life?
They had Jimbo Fisher. They went 9-1 in 2020.
They did do that.
Yeah. Great job.
Let's see. Someone says, what is he saying? I have no idea what he's talking about here. Okay. John Mack's not making excuses for why Texas A&M lost to Auburn last year. We're not gonna entertain that now. Let's see. Josh chimes in and he says, Kyle Field has had two Big 12 championship plaques where they didn't win the championship from 1997 and 2010. They were forced to put South Division and small text under it after they got called out. A&M is insecure and they can't even keep their coaches with all of that money that they have. Oh, and another two national championship plaques that they put up because of some computer polls after 1919 and 1927 saying they were champions. All right. There we go. Let's see. Lewis texts in and he says, "Have fun at your weekly management review, Conrad, telling John Mack you hope he turned his radio off." Well, I hope everyone else kept theirs on. So I think they'll forgive me. For that one. And let's be honest, we know that he's still listening. Obviously, he's still texting in. And let's see, we have, who is this? Somebody says they need to hire, they say, Damien, you should hire Don to be your personal assistant. I don't know where that came from, but it's just an idea someone threw out there.
Thank you, but I'm represented.
Okay.
I'm represented. Thank you.
Bennett chimes in. He says, Damien, I know that was a sponsorship, but dang, I feel violated with you talking about being stiffer around in-laws. I might just cry if that was happening. That's funny. Someone else just chimes in. Roll Tide. All right, Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Happy Wednesday morning to you. Well, appreciate all of you chiming in this morning. I'm sorry we had to go a little off the rails, but sometimes that's just what you got to do. So appreciate you tuning in this morning. We'll be back tomorrow at 6, but right now it's McElroy and Kubelik in the morning.